Hello and welcome to another episode of the Instant Impact Event Show. I'm Cheryl Williams.
I'm CJ Williams. Thank you for being here.
We are happy to have you here for another awesome, jam-packed,
Yes.
eventful, see what I did there? Eventful episode.
Wow. Oh, she cracks herself up.
I do, yep. I mean, I should be a comedian.
That was good.
Really. So,
Yes. Thank you.
We're like in the groove, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It seems like sometimes it's like, okay, let's record, let's get this stuff out,
Yes.
let's go. Other times it's like we got so many other things going on.
Yes.
I don't know if you
Just
guys
go.
have noticed, but we did change around the background.
Yep,
We've got
and
some
we got more to add
changes
to it.
coming soon, so it's a work in
Yes.
progress. So
Yes.
you'll be able to see the
Finished product.
yes very soon. So
Literally.
we're working on literally
Finished product.
Yep, that too. We're just full of our own little jokes. We're just cracking ourselves up. The funny thing, I don't know if y'all are laughing, but hey, if not, find something to laugh at because
Yes.
there's plenty out there.
I look in the mirror.
So we've got lots of things that we're working on, things in the works, stuff that
Yes.
we're changing over. We've been wanting to
changes.
kind of upgrade the background, make it a little more on brand. We're gonna be we're gonna have multiple backgrounds, multiple sets that we're
Yes.
working on doing. So it's a
changing it
work in progress, and it kind of goes into what today's topic is that we're going to be talking
Yes.
about, which is
You're going to fail.
so fail forward fast.
Correct.
Right? And this is something that we'll even relate it to the background, right? We
Yeah.
have all these grandiose things that we've wanted to do, and we're like,
we
okay,
buy.
and we buy stuff, and then we're like,
No.
it's not really what we want. Okay, back to the drawing board.
Or it's messed up in the way that you can't even repair something, fix it until you see it on camera.
Yeah.
And then you're
And
seeing
see,
little lines.
that's the
and
other thing
different
is
things.
stuff looks really good
Oh, yeah.
when it's not on camera. Like
Right.
when you see it with your eye, like,
Yeah.
oh, that's kind of nice,
Yes.
but it doesn't translate over to the
Right.
screen. It just doesn't.
How
It doesn't look the same.
How about the drape?
we got some different
White drape.
We got because I don't know if y'all have noticed, but our colors are like white, a kind of a darker green, a
Green.
lighter green, and then some flecks of gold.
Yes.
Those are our brand colors.
Yep.
And so we're like, well, we don't really want to do black because that's not on brand for our
No.
stuff that we're doing.
No.
Do we want to do white? It's bright, it kind of pops. So we got all of this white drape.
Yes.
And we had it all set up.
And then it was like, immediately it was like,
We even had uplighting for it. We had and we went to camera, and it was like
Horrid.
womp, 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 womp,
yes,
womp.
horrid.
It was bad. It didn't translate.
Basement. It was in a basement.
Huh?
It looked like you were in a basement.
It almost looked like you were in someone's college dorm, and they had just hung up a bunch of sheets, even though that's not what it was.
Yes.
That's kind of that's the
Even
look.
though they were nice,
Yeah, I mean they were really pretty, and when you saw it with your eye, it looked good.
it looked great.
It looked good, but on the rectangular box, when you're looking through the camera lens, it did not translate.
Yes.
So
Or on the monitor.
That
was
that
horrid.
either. So we went back to
Yes.
the drawing board once again. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had so many different. But again, it's like if we just kind of stuck with it, even our white background with our flecks of green that we've had and floral. We liked that, but it wasn't exactly what we were wanting.
No.
So did we stop? Did we not record? Did we say,
No.
forget it? We're not. No, we kept going, and yet we were always looking for something else, and
Yes.
for the next thing, for the next ideation, if you will. And so while we could say, hey, that's not what we want, was it a failure? Some of them were. You just scratch
Yes.
them off and be like, that was a fail. That's no good. And other times, like, hey, is it okay for now? Can we proceed while we're continuing to look for what could be better, right?
Correct.
And if we had said, you know what, we're not going to record, we're not going to do any
Yes,
shows,
just nothing
we're
for
not going to
weeks
do
and weeks
anything
and
because
weeks.
we don't have it exactly the way that we want, and it's not perfect, then that we would have been failing in another way, right? And
Correct.
so it's better to just continue putting one foot in front of the other, continuing to move, continuing to evolve and get those different experiences, because
Yeah,
then
it's a
you can
must.
say, hey, you know what?
Something could always be better.
Right, and that's even with this right now. We have we like it, and we want to do
And-
this, and this. We want to
three other
change it up. We
things,
have
yes.
multiple things, so you'll have to stay tuned for what
Yes,
those things
the-
are.
The start.
Yeah, so it's a clean slate, if you will.
There you go.
And so that's how can you kind of get this in your own life? How can you relate to this? How can you, look and see what have you been holding yourself back from, or what have you not changed because you're not sure if it's going to turn out the way that you want it to?
Make a small tweak first, and then you can know if you're going on the right path or not.
Right.
Making the small tweak first.
And it's kind of like, when you have a baby, or someone who has a baby, all children, they learn to crawl, right? Before they learn to walk. And yet the time from when they're learning to crawl, they're kind of just scooting, right? And then they get up and they fall down, and they get up and they fall down, and we get up and we fall down. Many
because
times, they're little, we encourage them to keep getting back up. Right now they're crawling, and they're like, okay, now I want to walk. Well, they kind of they hold on to something, and then they teeter and they fall back down, right? And we're cheering them on, we're clapping, we're celebrating them.
And then they're going
and
again.
Yet, if we looked at it, each of those things, they're failing. They're not walking yet, right? But are we looking at them and saying, they're never going to get it. They might as well just, continue to scoot around for the rest of their life because they just don't have it. No, what we do is we say, it's okay, get back up, do it again, right? And we know that the more times they get up and crawl, or they get up and walk, and yes, they're going to fall down, or they're going to roll over, or maybe they get a bump or a bruise, or maybe they get a little owie, right? But we're, as the adult, or as the parent, or as whomever you are, we're encouraging them to do that. Why?
Yes.
We want them to get as many times
we know
up
where they're going to go.
And down, and up and down, because they're starting to figure out their balance. Just like a child who's learning to ride a bike. It's the same thing. Do they get on the bike and immediately know how to pedal without training wheels?
No.
Do they know what to do? No. Are they going to fall over? Do they go a little ways and then fall over? Do they not pedal? Do they pedal backwards? Like all of these different things, because it's new. They haven't done it before. They don't have the experience. But what do we tell them? We tell them, hey, it's okay. The more you do this, the better you're going to get at it.
I'm right there for you.
We encourage. So we need to start as adults encouraging ourselves. Hey, just because you fell down, just because you failed, just because you didn't reach where you want to go, doesn't mean we have a pity party. Nope. Doesn't mean we throw the towel in. Doesn't mean that we just say, well, I'm not good enough at this. No, we look at it and say, okay, what data can I gather from this? What did I do well?
Yes.
What can I change?
Figure out what you're going to do next.
And then the next time I get up, how am I going to do it differently? Right? Yes. So it's never a failure completely the way people like to look at, like, failure, you failed, right? It's not that if you're always learning something.
Exactly. Even doing your own podcast. You might not like the audio at first. Maybe the camera's too far away. Maybe you don't have an extra mic for it. And then I'm going to put it out anyway. Because putting it out is better than not putting it out at all. And then, okay, I've got a mic now. Now you're working and you're tweaking, just like every day. What we do here, we always strive to make it better.
Right. Same thing when you have your events, right? I mean, the people who've had events, they can were they perfect? Usually not, right?
No.
Especially with your first handful of events, you're always learning.
You might not have had a schedule.
Maybe you didn't have a schedule. Maybe things didn't go according to plan.
Yes,
maybe
way over.
You went over on time. You went over on budget. You you didn't do all the things you thought you were going to get in.
Maybe sales didn't go correct.
Maybe you didn't sell very well. Maybe you were nervous to get on stage. Maybe you're learning how to speak and you're kind of fumbling and bumbling around. Maybe you kept
repeating the same things over and over
again. You know what? You're doing it. Right?
And you're going to learn from it.
And you're that much further ahead than anyone who has let those things stop them or hold them back.
Right, won't step foot on the stage.
Or they did it once, they got scared, maybe they failed, maybe they got laughed at, maybe they laughed at themselves, kind of like we were doing earlier, right?
Yes.
And yet, it wasn't something they said, okay, they didn't take the lesson from it and continue on. So when you're looking at how can I take the lesson? How can I learn something from this? How can I continue to fail, but know that each failure isn't a setback, it's a starting point.
Yeah, and a learning experience.
And each time you learn, then you say, okay, I know how to do it differently next time. This is where I'm going to start. This is the information, the data, the collection I've taken, and now I'm going to do this. And then when you're at that vantage point, it's okay, what are we learning? What are we? And because if everything goes
and you might make a big change.
Yeah.
You might figure out that small tweak isn't going to work. Then you got to rework everything.
You need to make a big
and that's
pivot.
okay too.
Yep.
So make a big pivot to the other side because you totally didn't know or like until after you did it.
Right.
You won't know.
And a lot of times, when you're in something, you think you know, but then after you've done it, you're like, that wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Right, just like the small RV. We had a small trailer. You go to the bathroom, the shower, you're like this. Go to the bathroom, you're like that. It was like, we knew it was cramped.
I don't think that was even the worst part of it, though.
Oh, you may just want something to hit you in the head?
No, it's that. See, what we did is instead of us saying, hey, we've got this vehicle, but it can't pull very much, so we're just not going to get an RV at all.
No.
That's not what we said.
We got an RV we got a size trailer that would fit our vehicle.
Yeah, that we could pull. That had enough pull weight that we could actually pull something. Now, not knowing what we didn't know, and we know a lot more now than what we did, we didn't know anything about RVing. We didn't know anything about trailers or fifth wheels or nothing, right? So we knew
nothing.
We knew less than nothing. But guess what?
But we learned, the minute we knew we wanted an RV, we were online all day, but didn't know dry weight.
The information.
What's dry weight?
What's a gray tank? What's a black tank?
What's that? But the next day, we drove an hour to Denver, and we got a tour.
Yep, we started looking at
everything we wanted.
And we started checking them out. And again, we didn't know we had to figure out what is the vehicle that we have pull. Okay, and so that meant in our category, we needed a lightweight. Well, what does that mean? It means it's lighter. Okay, well, lighter's fine, right? Lighter's good. So we get the lighter.
But not made as well.
We didn't know that though. We get the lighter, we're pulling it, and as soon as we pick it up, we hit this. You know how the springtime, there's like those winter snow / ice storms, and we were going across country, bringing it back, right?
Yes.
So in the vehicle that we had, while we could pull what we had,
it just wasn't
safe, right?
Not from swaying, because we have a sway bar. You have 2 bars on each side. It was the way it drove.
It just didn't feel.
I wasn't in control.
Yeah. It didn't feel safe. Like in the vehicle we were getting with what we were pulling, it didn't feel safe. Even though
this was a newer vehicle that we just got a month or 2 before. Even
though we could do that,
yes,
it wasn't after we got it, and we specifically got this trailer because we could pull it, and it had, a room for us and a bunkhouse for the kids and a living space. Like we were looking at it, we were going to be traveling in this RV. It was going to be our home for
a couple years.
For a couple years, right? So we didn't want just something where we're going to flip the couch over and turn it into a bed, or the table's going to turn into a bed. We needed everyone to have a designated space.
Yes.
So that narrowed down what we could get, right? And so by the time we went from Ohio back to Colorado, we had already determined the vehicle that we have is not going to work.
Right.
We need to get something else. Right.
And what happened is, while we were waiting for the final paperwork and everything to be finished, we told him it was hard to find a trailer that had the bunkhouse.
Yeah.
So he said, "Really? Here,
well, he knew that.
Jump in the little cart," and he took us to a fifth wheel. And my mouth was open the whole time.
Yeah, because again, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Open the whole time.
And so we were looking for the vehicle that we had at the point of that time. It wasn't a truck. It was an SUV, right?
Yes,
so
small.
with the SUV, we could not get a fifth wheel because the fifth wheel goes into the back of the truck.
Back of the bed.
So we needed a trailer. So we got a lightweight trailer because we didn't have the weight to pull.
Yes.
But as we were waiting, again, for everything to happen, for them to finish up what they were doing, he went and showed us this fifth wheel that was 10 feet longer than the trailer we were looking at.
Self-leveling.
It had all the bells and whistles, the buttons you could push. It had a bigger room for us.
What, 4 pull-outs?
The kids had a bigger room. You press a button, the pull-outs go out. You press a button,
they had their own bathroom.
It was a bigger living space because, again, we had 10 extra feet than what we were going to have. So we went from, at a 32-foot, this one was a 42-foot. And in an RV,
I was scared as hell to drive it.
That space that you have is every little bit counts, right? So we were like, wow, we really like this. And with the vehicle that we have, we're just now buying this one maybe sometime down the road, right? But that was in our mind because now we knew it was possible. Like,
and we were coming back to get a different vehicle.
Well, after we did our little trip back, as soon as we pulled into town, we went back to the same guy we got in the vehicle before and said, we need a truck. We need something to pull.
So we got a 2500 Cummins.
So we could pull a lot more, right?
And we made sure it had the holes
For the fifth wheel.
for the fifth wheel to lock into.
Yeah.
You need holes in the bed, back of the bed.
To be able to put the fifth wheel back
Contraption on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is heavy too. But anyways, so we didn't let all of these things along the
No,
way stop us.
we
Not
learned.
knowing what the heck we're doing,
Nope.
not having the right size vehicle,
Yep.
not any of these things. Like, this is what we want, focus and go. But then
Yes.
by the time we started gathering more data, it's like, well, dang it.
Okay,
I really
we
want
know
the
what-
42 foot and not the 32
Yes, it
foot.
took 6 months.
I want this. Now we
6
have
months.
a vehicle and we can, and that's where we got the vehicle. It's like,
Nope,
if we're
we
going
got
to get
the
a
right
vehicle, we want a
vehicle
vehicle
for the next step.
that can pull this over here. So 6 months, almost 6 months to the day that we got the trailer,
Yes,
we
we-
turned around and got rid of the trailer and got that particular fifth wheel, not the exact same one,
No,
but the
right.
exact same make,
Matter of
model,
fact, they had
kind.
extra. We had 3 air conditioners.
Right, that
Yeah.
that the guy had shown us on the lot.
Yep.
6
we got
months
an
earlier.
upgrade from that.
But because we were then, that was our new goal. That was what we were focusing on. It's like, we're going to continue on this journey knowing
Yes.
that, hey, this is now what we want.
Yes.
We're going to work towards this over
We
here.
always talked about it. Thank goodness you got the trailer first
Yeah.
to learn what you didn't know.
And there was so much to learn. It's like, I'm
So much to
glad
learn.
that everything happened the way it did,
Right,
because
with the water
we needed
heater.
to learn about, one, how to pull.
Yes.
We need to learn about
How to drive it.
How to drive it. We need to learn about how to operate it. We needed to learn how the heck to take care of all the different tanks where all the
water,
stuff
the
goes.
water, the
right?
black, the
because
gray.
with the bigger fifth wheel, we have more of those things, right?
Yes,
It's not
and
less, you
bigger.
have more.
Yes.
And so we needed that time to go through that, so that when it came to get the fifth wheel, we already
ready
had a
for it.
lot of those tools in our tool belt. Yes, it was still an expansion. Yes, it
Yes.
wasn't a trailer anymore, it was a fifth wheel. But we knew some of those things, and we still had a
Yes.
learning curve when we got into the fifth wheel.
Got over my fears. That was just
So-
something so huge.
It's something to think about, is like, don't look at the stepping stones as a failure. Look at them as a process along the way. You
Yes.
need to get from here to here to here to here before you can take that flying leap and go over
Right.
here, right?
Even-
Because you
yep.
need that information.
Could be even you sell a product. You sell a widget and it's priced wrong. Even though the product is great, maybe just a little tweak right there was priced incorrectly. Or you needed to add some more things to make it worth more.
And most of the time, when we're talking to people, your product, your service, your course, your event, they're all underpriced. They're way too far
There you go.
underpriced, right? And yet you have to have that belief in yourself that, one, you can charge more, and two, the belief in your product or your service or your
Yep.
offering or your event, there's enough value in it to charge that, right?
Yes.
And that's all up here, right? It's a very much so a mental game of
is.
what you charge. And so many people continue to just be on the cycle and be on the wheel of like, well, I got to get that next sale, and I got to get that next sale, and I got to get that because you're
Yes.
charging so little for each sale that you have to go on to the next one to just make ends meet, right? Instead of pricing yourself up here, taking and being that differentiating factor of,
Yes.
you know what, I'm not splitting down here with everybody else. I am unique.
Yep.
My product is different. We have more value. I value myself more, so I'm going to charge up here. And when you charge up here, you're swimming in a different pool. You're not down here with everybody else.
That's right.
So then the perspective is different. What you're offering is different. You're
Yes,
not
you're
then.
going to weed out some of the people that would be a little pain in the butt, literally.
Most people are. When they
Yes.
don't pay enough, they're a pain in
Yes.
the butt, right?
Yep.
So
Nitpicking.
have them charge more for what you're offering.
Yes,
Make
because
sure
you're
there's-
worth it.
Make sure there's value in there in doing that though too, right? So I'm just going to charge more, and I'm going to.
Yeah, not change anything.
But also, a lot of times the tweaks aren't that difficult. They're just a little bit different. The value adds,
Yes.
you're not doing much more. You're just changing how you're packaging it, right?
Yes.
It's the nice, neat little bow that you put it all in. It's how you put it together and how you
Correct.
structure that. But a lot of times that is a major hurdle, a major challenge for most entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches. When you're having events or you're selling something or you have a service or you have a product,
Yes.
most people are way undercharging. So then it's
even-
like a
yes.
conveyor belt. You got to get to the next one and the next one.
Yes.
And you're just churning all the
Yeah,
time,
on the plane all the time.
just constantly waiting for the next sale
Get enough money in.
versus get charging more, being able to make the experience better, to make the result a better outcome for your client, to make it an overall better, and then you're able to focus and devote more time because you're not looking for the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself versus standing up and saying, you know what, no. You know what? I might not sell as many, but guess what? You don't need to sell as many when you're selling them for more, which means, do you want quantity or do you want quality, right?
Quality.
And you want the quality. You want to be able to spend more time with your clients. You want to be able to offer a better service. You want to stand out from everybody else. You want to differentiate yourself from the pool, right? And start playing your own game. And that is a major failure on most people's part is that they're not failing forward enough.
They're in with everybody else.
You're just swimming with everybody.
Yeah, and you want to separate yourself from that.
Yep. So when you're having your next event, how are you figuring out what you're charging for? Are you looking around and saying, what is everyone else charging for this event? Versus saying, hey, this is what I'm offering. This is the value I'm bringing. This is the ticket price. This is the investment for this. Or when you have a course that you're selling or a service or you're offering, do you look around and say, well, what's the market charging? You know, I want to be somewhere in the middle of that. I don't want to be too high or too low. I want to be in that sweet spot. But then everybody else is in that sweet spot. So then you're just, it's congested, right?
Very.
Versus you saying, you know what? No, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the highest.
I'm gonna, and not the opposite.
I'm going to provide the most value, because then most people price themselves to zero. They just keep going down.
Lower and lower and lower.
You know, everyone else is here.
And think of themselves on the back end.
So I better undercut over here so I can get people to come
get more
in.
clients.
How about instead of undercutting, we go over. We don't go under, we go over, right?
Correct.
And that's the best way to continue to move forward.
Yes, I like that.
You go over, right? We got to go up. To get what you want, you don't go down. You got to go up. You got to put more into it. You got to go above everybody else, because then you're at a different vantage point, right?
Yep.
It's kind of like, you know, if you're not the lead dog, you know, the view never changes, right? Well, if you're down somewhere with everybody else, it never changes. But if you come up here and you have a different perspective, you have a different vantage point.
And then that's going to change
you
also.
You have a different clientele.
And then you're going to go even higher.
You have a different clientele that'll be coming towards you too, right?
Yes.
So it's all how you look at things, all how you shift, and you have to be okay with falling and getting back up and falling again and getting back up and getting a bump or a bruise
or learning.
You know, failing. That's okay, right?
It's just
the
an action
easiest
step.
way to get to the fastest way to get to where you want to go is to continually fail, right? If you can fail forward instead of failing backwards and just sitting on your butt and saying, well, I fell, I'm done.
Yeah, you'll always be in good shape.
Keep moving. If you're failing and going a little bit and failing and going a little bit and failing, at least you're failing up. You're failing forward.
Yes, you have somewhere to go.
And then you want to get that momentum. That's where that fail forward fast comes in. It's not just about failing forward. It's then getting up and getting it. Go.
Go. Because each time you do it, you're going to be in a better place.
Yep, and you're going to continue to level up. You're going to continue to get different. You're going to continue to say, oh, you know what? I like this. Let's change that. Okay, this is good. Ooh, I learned this from that. You know what? This time I'm going to change it and not do this. I'm going to do this instead. So the more that you can continue moving, the more that you can continue going, the faster you're going to get there. Because you're going to fail. Everybody does, right? No matter who you are, no matter where you're at, you're going to fail. The question is, are you failing forward? And how fast are you failing? How fast are you getting those wins, right? Those wins of failure, like stack them on as a badge of honor and keep moving forward, right? Not like, I failed.
And then start thinking about
what am I
the
gonna
failure
do?
also by going, and talking about the failure.
Yeah. Or
and staying there.
That hurt. I don't want to do that again. It's like, no. Dust yourself off.
Right. Take
stack
a day.
It up. Take it as a win and keep moving, right? It's all perspective. And if there's one thing that you can learn from us and from our time together is how you look at things is how you see things, right? So perspective shifts and perspective changes. Just that little bit can make a huge difference, right?
Good way.
If you just continue to wallow in your shit and just poor me and woe is me and this never works, nothing don't work, nothing don't go.
None of that.
You're not going to get there.
Get yourself out of that.
You've got to look at it and say, hey, you know what? Am I where I want to be? No. Have I learned a lot? Yeah. Is it time to get back up and keep going? It is, right?
Yes.
Because then that momentum gets going too. So even though you're stacking wins, you're also stacking those failures, right, too. And the more you can stack both of those, the more you're going to continue moving.
And be in a better spot.
Yeah, the momentum. It's about whether you're winning, whether you're failing. It's as long as you're continuing to move forward and take it for what it is, learn from it, and move forward. That's the main thing with the fail forward fast, right? You're going to fail. So It's inevitable.
Do it
so
quickly.
Get it done quickly so you can keep moving forward. Keep stacking those wins, but stacking those failures as well. And as long as you're learning and growing and advancing and all of that,
Yes,
then
moving
hey,
forward.
you're doing good. You're coming and you're going to where you want to go. So
Yes.
what I want to hear from you guys is, what are you doing to fail? Like, what are you doing to put yourself out there? What are you doing to fail forward quickly? What are some of the times that you failed in the past and you've gotten yourself back up?
Let us know the failures and then what happened after that.
Right.
After your fixes.
I don't want to
As soon
hear
as
about the
you tweak
times
it.
that you failed and you didn't get moving forward.
No.
Right? I want to hear about the
No.
times, I fell down, but guess what? I learned this and I kept going.
And I changed my prices, and guess what?
Yep. Or, hey, I'm doing this now and I'm a little scared because I don't know what's going to happen and I might fall flat on my face, but at least I'm doing it. Hey, that's awesome.
And be
right?
happy with that.
That's where you continue to move forward through adversity. Continue to move forward through the challenges and the struggles, and you'll come out the other side, right?
You will.
So we want to hear from you guys.
Yes, don't hesitate.
What are your failures? What are your setbacks? What are your challenges? And what are you doing to move forward right here, right now, in this moment?
Yep.
Alrighty? And this goes right into it. Remember, no matter where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on, we're always here for you, right? We love hearing from you.
Please share also.
But make sure you share, like, comment, rate.
Yes.
All that helps us. We're on all major platforms.
Because we're growing too. We want to hear from you.
Yeah, we're on all major platforms, whether you like to listen or watch. We have the show available to do both. But definitely share it with a friend, share it with a like-minded individual, share it with somebody that you think could get something out of this message. And then the more that you can subscribe,
they're coming out every week.
Subscribe and like and comment and review and rate. Those things all help us, but just, tell a friend to tell a friend, right?
Yes.
That's what we want to do. And remember, it only takes an instant to make an impact, so go out there and make an impact today.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.